There is a truth about human relationships that's both humbling and empowering. We teach others how to treat us. In matters of love and connection, understanding attachment styles can unlock the answers to why some people distance themselves, even when the bond feels strong. If you've ever loved someone with an avoidant attachment style, you may have felt the sting of their withdrawal, leaving you questioning your worth. But today we're going to reclaim that power. By understanding this dynamic and making one critical shift, you can transform how others perceive and respond to you, especially those with an avoidant attachment style. When someone with an avoidant attachment style pulls away, it's easy to feel as though you've done something wrong or that you're not enough. The distance they create can feel personal, leaving you questioning your worth or the depth of the connection you once shared. However, the truth is, their avoidance is rarely, if ever, about you. It is a reflection of their own internal struggles, fears, and patterns, ones that have often been deeply ingrained through past experiences long before you entered their life. Understanding this is the first step to liberating yourself from self-blame and regaining your emotional balance. Avoidant attachment styles typically develop in childhood, often as a response to environments where emotional needs were not consistently met. Children who grow up feeling unsupported or rejected emotionally may learn to protect themselves by minimizing their reliance on others. Over time, this self-reliance becomes their default mode of operation, a shield against the pain of vulnerability. When they encounter love or deep connection later in life, their instinctual response may be to retreat, not because they don't care, but because closeness feels threatening. It's important to recognize that this behavior is rooted in fear, not a reflection of your value. This understanding can be both freeing and empowering. When you stop internalizing their behavior, you reclaim your sense of self-worth. Their withdrawal does not mean you are unlovable or inadequate. It simply means they are grappling with their own discomfort around intimacy. By separating their actions from your self-perception, you release the weight of unnecessary guilt and insecurity. You are no longer tethered to the belief that their emotional unavailability is your fault. However, knowing this on an intellectual level and embodying it emotionally are two different things. When someone you care about pulls away, it's natural to feel hurt or rejected. But in these moments, it's crucial to remind yourself that their avoidance is part of their journey, not a commentary on your lovability. Take a step back and ground yourself in the truth. You are a whole, complete individual, deserving of love and connection, regardless of how anyone else behaves. One of the most healing shifts you can make is to approach the situation with compassion for yourself and for the person pulling away. Compassion does not mean excusing harmful behavior or tolerating disrespect. Instead, it means recognizing that everyone carries their own wounds, and those wounds often dictate their actions. This lack of awareness is not your responsibility to fix, but understanding it can help you approach the situation with empathy rather than anger or resentment. At the same time, you must hold space for your own needs and boundaries. While their avoidance is not about you, it still impacts you. Acknowledge your feelings and give yourself permission to feel them fully, whether it's sadness, frustration, or confusion. Denying your emotions or pretending their actions don't hurt will only prolong the healing process. Honor your feelings without letting them dictate your sense of worth. One of the most empowering things you can do is focus on what you can control, your own healing and growth. Instead of trying to analyze or change the avoidant person's behavior, shift your energy inward. Ask yourself, how can I best take care of myself right now? This might mean seeking support from trusted friends or a therapist, engaging in activities that bring you joy, or simply allowing yourself time to rest and reflect. By prioritizing your well-being, you reaffirm that your happiness does not depend on someone else's ability to meet your emotional needs. It's also essential to let go of the need to fix the situation or the person. Avoidant attachment styles are deeply rooted and cannot be changed by external pressure. True transformation, if it happens, must come from within them and their desire to heal. You cannot force someone to confront their fears or change their patterns. What you can do, however, is create a safe and supportive environment by showing up authentically and setting healthy boundaries. This balance of compassion and self-respect sends a powerful message. You care about them, but you also care about yourself. Ultimately, understanding that avoidance is not about you allows you to detach from the cycle of self-blame and overthinking. It frees you to focus on your own emotional health rather than getting caught up in the other person's fears. You are not responsible for their healing, but you are responsible for your own. By anchoring yourself in self-love and compassion, you become a steady force in your own life, unshaken by the emotional turbulence of others. In this understanding, there is liberation. You realize that your worth is not defined by anyone else's actions. You are whole and deserving of love exactly as you are. Their avoidance is a reflection of their story, not yours. By releasing the weight of their struggles, you open yourself to a life of deeper self-acceptance. This is where true freedom begins. When someone with an avoidant attachment style distances themselves, the natural reaction might be to chase after them or try to bridge the gap they've created. However, this approach often backfires, as avoidant individuals tend to retreat even further when they feel overwhelmed or pressured. Instead of trying to close the distance, the most powerful thing you can do is create space. Space for them to breathe, reflect, and ultimately miss the connection they had with you. This concept might feel counterintuitive at first, especially if you equate closeness with reassurance. But stepping back is not about manipulation or playing games. It's about allowing both yourself and the other person the freedom to reconnect authentically. When you give someone space, you're honoring their need for autonomy. Avoidant individuals value their independence deeply, often to the point where they associate closeness with a loss of freedom. By stepping back, you demonstrate that you respect their boundaries and are not trying to control or overwhelm them. This act of respect speaks volumes. It shifts the dynamic from one of pursuit and retreat to one of mutual respect and balance. You're no longer chasing them, which removes the pressure they may have felt. Instead, you're standing confidently in your own space, which allows them to come toward you if and when they're ready. Creating space also allows you to shift the focus back to yourself. In the midst of a connection, it's easy to become so attuned to the other person's needs and behaviors that you lose sight of your own. Taking a step back gives you the opportunity to reconnect with yourself. Ask yourself, what makes me happy? What brings me joy? This time of reflection and self-care is essential. It not only helps you regain your sense of self, but also makes you more attractive to the other person. People are naturally drawn to individuals who exude confidence and fulfillment in their own lives. It's important to understand that creating space doesn't mean shutting the door completely. It's not about ignoring the person or giving them the silent treatment as a form of punishment. Instead, it's about shifting your energy. Instead of pouring all your focus into them, redirect that energy toward your own growth and happiness. This shift is subtle but powerful. By creating space, you're also allowing the person to experience life without your constant presence. When you're always available, it's easy for someone to take you for granted. They might not even realize the depth of what they have until it's not right in front of them. Space gives them the opportunity to feel the absence of your energy, your kindness, and your unique presence. This doesn't mean you should sit around waiting for them to notice. On the contrary, the most effective way to create space is to genuinely immerse yourself in your own life. Pursue your passions, spend time with loved ones, and engage in activities that bring you joy and fulfillment. When you're truly invested in your own life, you naturally exude an energy that is both magnetic and inspiring. People with avoidant tendencies are often drawn to this kind of self-sufficiency because it reassures them that you won't rely on them for your sense of happiness. It's also important to set clear boundaries during this time. If the person tries to test the waters by reaching out in small, inconsistent ways, consider how you want to respond. You don't have to jump at every breadcrumb of attention they offer. Respond thoughtfully and intentionally in a way that aligns with your values and respects your time. This balance of openness and self-respect sends a clear message. You're willing to engage, but only in a way that is healthy and mutually beneficial. Also, while creating space can feel uncomfortable, especially if you're used to being the one to initiate contact or keep the connection alive, trust that this process is an act of love for yourself. You're giving both yourself and the other person the opportunity to experience growth. For them, it's a chance to confront their own feelings and realize what they truly want. For you, it's a chance to step into your own power, rediscover your worth, and cultivate a sense of inner peace that isn't dependent on anyone else. When done with authenticity and self-respect, creating space often leads to clarity and deeper connection. If the person values the relationship, they will likely find their way back, drawn by the strength and confidence you've cultivated during this time. And if they don't, you've still gained something invaluable, a renewed sense of self, clarity about what you deserve, and the freedom to move forward toward relationships that truly honor you. In the end, creating space is not about losing someone, it's about gaining yourself. By stepping back, you're opening the door to deeper understanding, mutual respect, and a connection that is built on a foundation of strength rather than fear. Whether or not they return, you will have reclaimed your power and stepped into a more empowered version of yourself. In relationships, it's easy to lose sight of your emotional needs when you're focused on someone else. Whether it's the desire to maintain harmony, the fear of losing the connection, or a habit of putting others first, you may find yourself neglecting your own well-being in the process. But prioritizing your emotional needs is not selfish. It's an essential act of self-love and self-preservation. When you honor your feelings and take care of your inner world, you create the foundation for healthy relationships and a fulfilling life. The first step in prioritizing your emotional needs is acknowledging that they matter. Your feelings, desires, and boundaries are valid even if others do not recognize or appreciate them. Too often, people suppress their emotions to avoid conflict or to meet the expectations of others. Over time, this can lead to resentment, burnout, and a sense of losing oneself. By recognizing that your emotional well-being is just as important as anyone else's, you empower yourself to make choices that align with your values and needs. To prioritize your emotional needs, you must cultivate self-awareness. Take the time to tune in to what you're feeling and why. Are you anxious, frustrated, or overwhelmed? What is causing those emotions? Understanding the source of your feelings helps you identify what you need to address them. Journaling, mindfulness practices, or simply taking quiet moments to reflect can help you develop this self-awareness. When you understand your emotional landscape, you're better equipped to care for yourself and communicate your needs effectively. Setting boundaries is a crucial part of prioritizing your emotional needs. Boundaries are not walls to keep people out. They are guidelines that protect your well-being and ensure your relationships are balanced. If you're constantly saying yes to things that drain you or accepting behaviors that make you uncomfortable, it's time to reassess. Boundaries might involve saying no to commitments that overwhelm you, limiting interactions with people who disrespect you, or carving out time for yourself each day. Remember, boundaries are an act of self-respect, and they teach others how to treat you. Another essential aspect of prioritizing your emotional needs is letting go of the need to please everyone. It's natural to want to be liked and to maintain positive relationships, but constantly prioritizing others' happiness at the expense of your own is unsustainable. Understand that you cannot control how others feel or react, and that's okay. Your responsibility is to honor your own emotions and make decisions that support your well-being. When you stop seeking external validation and start validating yourself, you free yourself from the pressure to perform for others. Self-care plays a significant role in meeting your emotional needs. This goes beyond occasional indulgences like a spa day or a favorite treat. It's about consistently nurturing your mental, emotional, and physical health. Self-care might mean setting aside time to rest, engaging in activities that bring you joy, or seeking support from a therapist or trusted friend. It's about creating habits that sustain you and help you thrive, even when life feels overwhelming. Prioritizing self-care sends a powerful message to yourself. I am worthy of care and attention. Equally important is learning to communicate your needs openly and assertively. Often people expect others to understand their needs without expressing them, which can lead to misunderstandings and unmet expectations. When you communicate your feelings and boundaries clearly, you create the opportunity for deeper connection and understanding. Use I statements to express yourself, such as, I feel overwhelmed when, or I need time to recharge after. This approach keeps the focus on your experience rather than blaming others, fostering more constructive conversations. As you prioritize your emotional needs, you may encounter resistance, both from yourself and others. Guilt, fear, or doubt may arise, especially if you're used to putting others first. You might worry about being perceived as selfish or fear that setting boundaries will push people away. These feelings are normal, but they don't define you. Remind yourself that taking care of your emotional health is not only beneficial for you, but also for the people around you. When you're emotionally balanced and fulfilled, you can show up as your best self in relationships and other areas of life. One of the most empowering realizations is that prioritizing your emotional needs does not mean you stop caring about others. It means you care for yourself while caring for others. It's about finding balance, where your needs are not constantly sacrificed for the sake of someone else's. Healthy relationships are reciprocal, with both parties supporting and respecting each other's well-being. By prioritizing your emotional needs, you set the tone for this kind of mutual respect. Ultimately, when you prioritize your emotional needs, you reclaim your power and autonomy. You're no longer waiting for others to meet your needs or validate your worth. Instead, you take responsibility for your happiness and well-being. This shift not only transforms your relationship with yourself, but also attracts healthier, more fulfilling connections with others. By choosing to honor your emotions, set boundaries, and practice self-care, you step into a life where your inner peace and joy are no longer negotiable. You create a space where your needs are heard, valued, and respected by yourself and those around you. This is not just an act of self-love. It's a declaration of your worth and a foundation for a life rooted in authenticity and emotional freedom. In relationships, communication is the foundation of connection, understanding, and growth. However, when communication becomes intertwined with clinging, it can create tension, push others away, and hinder the very bond you're trying to strengthen. Communicating without clinging is an art that requires self-awareness, confidence, and emotional balance. It's about expressing yourself in a way that fosters connection while allowing space for both you and the other person to feel free and respected. Clinging often stems from fear of abandonment, rejection, or losing the relationship altogether. It manifests as excessive texting, needing constant reassurance, or seeking validation through over-explaining or over-communicating. While these behaviors might feel like attempts to keep the connection alive, they often have the opposite effect. Clinging can overwhelm the other person and leave you feeling even more anxious or insecure. Learning to communicate without clinging starts with addressing these underlying fears and building trust in yourself and the relationship. The first step is recognizing the difference between healthy communication and clinging. Healthy communication is grounded in clarity, respect, and mutual understanding. It's about expressing your feelings, needs, and boundaries in a way that invites dialogue and connection. Clinging, on the other hand, is driven when you communicate from a place of fear or insecurity. Your words can come across as demanding or emotionally heavy, which can strain the relationship. To communicate effectively without clinging, it's essential to build your sense of self-worth. When you have confidence in your value, you don't need constant external validation to feel secure. Remind yourself that you are enough, regardless of how someone else responds to you. By cultivating self-assurance, you can approach conversations with calmness and clarity rather than desperation or anxiety. This shift in energy creates a more open and welcoming space for communication. Another important aspect of non-clinging communication is learning to listen actively. Communication isn't just about expressing your own thoughts and feelings, it's also about understanding the other person's perspective. When you listen attentively, you demonstrate respect and genuine interest in their experience. This builds trust and helps the other person feel seen and heard, which naturally strengthens the bond between you. And resist the urge to interrupt, overanalyze, or impose your own interpretation of their words. Instead, focus on being present and receptive. Timing is also crucial in communicating without clinging. If you're feeling emotionally charged, it's better to take a step back and reflect before initiating a conversation. Ask yourself, am I reaching out because I genuinely need to share something important, or am I seeking reassurance or control? Taking a moment to pause and evaluate your intentions can help you approach the conversation with greater mindfulness and clarity. When you communicate from a place of calm and intentionality, your message is more likely to be received positively. Setting boundaries in communication is another key component. Boundaries are not about shutting people out. They're about creating a healthy dynamic where both parties feel respected and valued. For example, if you find yourself texting someone repeatedly because they haven't responded, take a step back and remind yourself that they may have other priorities in the moment. Respect their space and trust that they'll respond when they're ready. Similarly, if someone else is crossing your boundaries by expecting immediate responses or constant attention, it's okay to communicate your needs gently but firmly. One of the most empowering ways to communicate without clinging is to focus on quality rather than quantity. Instead of bombarding someone with frequent messages or seeking constant interaction, prioritize meaningful exchanges. Share your thoughts and feelings openly, but don't feel the need to fill every moment with conversation. Silence and space are not signs of disconnection. They're natural parts of when you allow space. You give both yourself and the other person time to process, reflect, and appreciate the connection you share. Practicing emotional independence is also essential. Emotional independence doesn't mean suppressing your feelings or avoiding vulnerability. It means recognizing that your happiness and self-worth are not dependent on someone else's actions or responses. When you take responsibility for your own emotions, you can communicate from a place of strength rather than neediness. This shift in perspective not only enhances your own well-being, but also creates a more balanced and fulfilling dynamic in your relationships. Lastly, embrace the power of self-expression balanced with patience. When you communicate, focus on being authentic and clear about your feelings and needs. At the same time, understand that not every conversation will yield immediate results. People process information and emotions at their own pace. By allowing time for reflection and avoiding the urge to force outcomes, you create space for genuine understanding and growth. Communicating without clinging is ultimately about striking a balance between connection and independence. It's about trusting yourself and the relationship enough to let go of the need for constant reassurance. When you approach communication with confidence, mindfulness, and respect, this kind of connection is not only healthier, but also more enduring, as it's built on mutual trust and authenticity rather than fear or insecurity. Detachment is a concept that holds incredible power in shaping our emotional well-being and the quality of our relationships. At its core, detachment is not about indifference or cutting yourself off from people or experiences. It's about letting go of unhealthy attachments, expectations, and the need for control. It is about allowing things to unfold naturally, accepting what is, and finding inner peace regardless of external circumstances. Mastering the art of detachment empowers you to approach life with clarity, resilience, and emotional freedom. To understand detachment, it's important to first recognize how attachment operates. Attachment often stems from a desire for security, validation, or control. We become attached to outcomes, people, or situations, believing that our happiness depends on them. While it's natural to form connections, excessive attachment can lead to anxiety, disappointment, and a sense of powerlessness when things don't go as planned. Detachment, on the other hand, is the practice of releasing this dependency. It doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop clinging. The foundation of detachment lies in self-awareness. To detach, you must first understand what you're attached to and why. Are you overly invested in someone else's approval? Do you feel anxious when things don't go according to your expectations? Are you trying to control outcomes that are beyond your influence? Reflecting on these questions can help you identify the attachments that are holding you back. Once you recognize them, you can begin to release the grip they have on your emotions and actions. A key component of detachment is learning to let go of outcomes. Life is unpredictable, and no amount of planning or effort can guarantee that things will turn out the way you want. When you focus too much on controlling the future, you rob yourself of the peace and joy available in the present. Detachment invites you to shift your mindset from one of control to one of acceptance. Trust that whatever happens is for your highest good, even if it doesn't align with your immediate desires. This trust allows you to approach life with openness and flexibility. Practicing detachment also involves letting go of the need for validation from others. It's easy to become attached to how people perceive you, seeking approval or fearing rejection. However, when your sense of self-worth depends on external validation, you give away your power. Detachment means reclaiming that power by recognizing your inherent value, independent of others' opinions or actions. When you no longer rely on others to define your worth, you free yourself to live authentically and with confidence. Embracing detachment requires cultivating emotional independence. Emotional independence doesn't mean suppressing your feelings or avoiding connections. It means taking responsibility for your emotions rather than placing that burden on others. For example, if someone disappoints you, instead of reacting with anger or blame, pause and ask yourself how you can address your feelings constructively. Detachment allows you to experience emotions fully without being consumed by them. It creates space for reflection and growth, enabling you to respond to life with wisdom and grace. Mindfulness is a powerful tool in mastering detachment. By staying present in the moment, you can observe your thoughts and feelings without judgment. This awareness helps you identify when you're becoming overly attached to something and gives you the ability to step back. Mindfulness also reminds you that everything in life is transient. People, situations, and emotions all come and go. This understanding helps you appreciate the present without clinging to it, knowing that change is a natural part of life. Another aspect of detachment is setting healthy boundaries. When you're overly attached, you may find yourself overextending, people-pleasing, or tolerating behavior that doesn't align with your values. Detachment allows you to establish boundaries that protect your well-being while maintaining compassion and respect for others. Boundaries are not about shutting people out. They're about creating balance and ensuring that your relationships are based on mutual respect and support. Detachment also requires patience and trust in the process. Change doesn't happen overnight, and letting go of deep-seated attachments takes time. Be kind to yourself as you navigate this journey. Celebrate small victories like recognizing when you're holding on too tightly or choosing to release an expectation. Over time, these practices will become more natural, and you'll find yourself experiencing greater freedom and peace. Finally, mastering detachment means understanding that your happiness and peace come from within. When you stop relying on external circumstances to dictate your emotions, you discover an inner reservoir of strength and joy. This doesn't mean you stop caring about life or relationships. It means you approach them from a place of wholeness rather than neediness. Detachment allows you to love and engage fully while remaining centered in your own sense of self. In mastering the art of detachment, you learn to let go without losing connection, care without clinging, and live with an open heart without fear of loss. It's a practice that transforms how you relate to yourself and the world around you. Through detachment, you discover the freedom to live authentically, embrace change, and find peace in the present moment. This freedom is not just a gift to yourself, it's a foundation for healthier, more fulfilling relationships and a richer, more meaningful life. Self-love is not a luxury, it's a necessity. It is the foundation of your well-being, influencing your relationships, mindset, and overall energy. When you prioritize self-love, you elevate your energy in profound and transformative ways. You begin to radiate confidence, attract positivity, and cultivate resilience. Self-love is not selfish. It is the most generous gift you can give to yourself and others because it allows you to show up as your best self. To elevate your energy through self-love, start with the understanding that you are inherently worthy. Many of us tie our self-worth to external factors like achievements, relationships, or appearances. But these external validations are fleeting and can leave you feeling depleted. True self-love begins with recognizing that your worth is intrinsic. You are valuable simply because you exist. When you embrace this truth, you release the need to prove yourself to others, and your energy naturally begins to rise. An essential aspect of self-love is the way you speak to yourself. Pay attention to your inner dialogue. Are you kind, encouraging, and compassionate, or are you critical and harsh? Negative self-talk drains your energy and keeps you stuck in patterns of doubt and fear. Instead, choose words that uplift and empower you. Practice affirmations like, I am enough, I am deserving of love and happiness, or I am capable of achieving my dream. These positive statements rewire your mindset and create a sense of inner peace that elevates your energy. Caring for your physical body is another crucial part of self-love. Your body is the vessel through which you experience life, and it deserves care and respect. Nourish it with wholesome foods, stay hydrated, and engage in regular movement that brings you joy. This doesn't have to be a rigorous workout. It can be as simple as a walk in nature, yoga, or dancing to your favorite music. When you treat your body well, you feel more energized and aligned with your best self. Self-love also involves setting boundaries. Often we overextend ourselves, saying yes to things we don't want to do out of fear of disappointing others. But when you constantly prioritize others at the expense of your well-being, you deplete your energy and feel resentful. Setting boundaries is not about shutting people out. It's about honoring your limits and ensuring your time and energy are spent in ways that serve you. Learn to say no without guilt. And trust that you're doing what's best for yourself and ultimately for those around you. Another powerful way to elevate your energy is through self-forgiveness. Many people carry guilt, shame, or regret over past mistakes, and these emotions weigh heavily on their hearts. But holding on to these feelings only keeps you stuck in the past. Self-love means giving yourself permission to release those burdens. Acknowledge your mistakes, learn from them, and let them go. Forgive yourself as you would a dear friend, and remember that you are constantly growing and evolving. Each step forward, no matter how small, raises your vibration and brings you closer to the life you deserve. Surrounding yourself with supportive, loving people is another way to nurture self-love and elevate your energy. The people you spend time with influence your thoughts, emotions, and energy levels. Seek out relationships that uplift and inspire you, those that are rooted in mutual respect and kindness. At the same time, distance yourself from toxic environments or individuals who drain your energy. By choosing to surround yourself with positivity, you create a space where your self-love can flourish. Gratitude is another powerful tool for elevating your energy through self-love. When you focus on what you have rather than what you lack, you shift your perspective and open your heart to abundance. Take a few moments each day to reflect on what you're grateful for, whether it's your health, a kind gesture, or simply a beautiful sunset. Gratitude helps you see the beauty in life and deepens your appreciation for yourself and the world around you. From your kindness, this practice cultivates a sense of joy and contentment that naturally boosts your energy. Lastly, make time for yourself. In our busy lives, it's easy to neglect our own needs in favor of endless to-do lists and obligations, but self-love requires intentionality. Carve out moments to rest, reflect, and do things that bring you joy. Whether it's reading a book, meditating, journaling, or pursuing a creative hobby, these moments of self-care recharge your spirit and remind you of your worth. They create a ripple effect, elevating your energy and enhancing every area of your life. When you practice self-love, you create a powerful shift within yourself. You release the need for external validation, embrace your worth, and nurture your mind, body, and soul. This elevated energy not only transforms your own life, but also radiates outward, positively impacting the people and circumstances around you. By loving yourself deeply and unconditionally, you step into your power and unlock the limitless potential within you. Self-love isn't just an act, it's a way of being, a path to a vibrant, fulfilling life.